What's going on, everybody? In this video, I want to talk about spot Bitcoin ETFs going live tomorrow. We're also going to look at Iris Energy, or Iren Energy now. It has been running. People have been saying it's the next CleanSpark. People have been saying dump your other miners and get into Iren. I'm going to give you my thoughts on that. We're going to look at a few other stocks as well. We're also going to look at a semiconductor stock that I'm very bullish on, and I see a potential breakout coming soon on it. But let's get started on this video, guys. If you get something useful out of this, you know what to do. And first off, let's look at this Bitcoin news. Australia's first spot Bitcoin ETF is going to start trading tomorrow. This is the monochrome Bitcoin ETF, and it's set to begin trading on the CBOE Tuesday. This spot Bitcoin ETF will trade under the ticker IBTC, and it carries a management fee of under 1%. Now here's something interesting. The CBOE will become the first Australian exchange to list a spot Bitcoin ETF, beating the larger ASX, or Australian Securities Exchange, to the market. However, there are reports that the ASX is also planning to approve spot Bitcoin ETFs before the end of the year. So this is a smaller exchange that's offering these live traded ETFs, but Australia's larger exchange, the ASX, they are expecting to offer spot Bitcoin ETF products later this year, it says. We now have ETFs in North America, in the UK, Europe, Asia Pacific, and Australia's new entrance into spot Bitcoin ETFs reflects the broader embrace of Bitcoin as an institutional asset class. And with current retail sentiment, I would never believe you if you told me Bitcoin is only 6% from its all-time highs, with sentiment how it is. This type of retail sentiment reminds me back when Bitcoin was stuck in like the 20 to 30,000 range, doing nothing for such a long time, people losing interest, people saying, come on, do something. Poking it with a stick like that meme, do something. It just reminds me of those times, you know. But look at how far we've come. We are near the all-time high for Bitcoin. We are so close to hitting new all-time highs again for Bitcoin. We did this only a few months ago. So when you're feeling a little discouraged that Bitcoin doesn't seem to be doing anything recently, remember it has gained more than 300%. And good things come to those who are patient. And speaking of patience, people are losing their patience with Iren. Well, specifically, people are losing their patience with other stocks. I see it all over the place. Drop CleanSpark, get into Iren. Drop a marathon, get into Iren. Iren is the hot stock. Now, the first thing I'll say is don't chase a stock that's been doing great and get out of your stock that hasn't been doing great. This is like the opposite of what you want to do in the market. Look at where Iren is at. I do think it can keep running, but look at where we're at on the weekly RSI. You know, typically, you do see a little more overbought on the RSI. Market could or could not take it there. We might see Iren at around a $10 price before we start retracing. Do you really want to take that risk and get out of other Bitcoin miners that haven't been performing as well recently and get into literally the best performing Bitcoin miner over the last 2 weeks or so? I wouldn't do it. While I'm very bullish on Iren, I would not sell my other Bitcoin miners to chase Iren. Keep in mind, guys, this has gained more than 75% in less than a month. That's not normal. One thing with Iren you'll see is it did create a new pattern. We created this kind of a broadening pattern. We broke out of this long, downtrend we were stuck in, and we did see a big reaction from the market out of it. A huge reaction out of that. I do think the market will trade this kind of a broadening pattern. It does look like we're topping out here personally. We might head all the way back down to, the $7, $8 area before continuing out this, upward trend. Remember, the market moves up and market moves down. Don't catch the FOMO bug. Don't chase a stock that's already ran 70-something% in a month. Am I very bullish on Iren? Yes. But do you want to chase a stock that has already performed so well? If you're looking short term, no. If you're looking at this whole Bitcoin cycle, I do think Iren is still a buy. But if you're only looking a couple months out, I think this is pretty high risk. My speculation on why this has been running so much, even with the dilution announcement after earnings came out, is this is one of the only miners I know of, if not the only, that is actually projecting a positive EPS in the next upcoming earnings. If you look at all the other miners, they're basically expecting an unprofitable quarter. There's also another Bitcoin miner that's expecting growth in revenue, where many expect a huge dip in revenue because of the halving taking effect. The way I look at it is you don't want to get into a stock that is getting overbought, that's showing that it's topping out on its pattern, and get out of a stock like, for instance, CleanSpark, that's near its support level. For months and months now, CleanSpark has been a great swing trade. It comes down to this 15, 14, sometimes as high as 16 before bouncing, running all the way into the $20 area. I do think we're going to see something similar. I do think we can continue down a little farther. Maybe we come down and bounce off of 15. Maybe we come down into the 14s. But I do expect CleanSpark to continue its general direction, this general uptrend we've been in. The way I look at it is I would rather trim something like Iren and get into a CleanSpark that is near its support level. And CleanSpark was just one example. There's a lot of other Bitcoin miners that haven't been performing as well lately, while a stock like Iren has been running 5%, 10% days left and right. My main point here is, while I'm very bullish on Iren on the long term, you don't want to chase stocks typically. Unless you set a stop loss, unless you know what you're doing. You know, when something moves like this short term, typically you want to give it some time to cool down before you look for an entry. But moving right along, I do want to talk about Indie Semiconductor. This is one that I'm very bullish on. I don't talk about this one very much. No one seems to care. Indie Semiconductor has seen very, very consistent revenue, except for recently. Because of the economy, because of weak auto sales, this has negatively affected Indie Semiconductor. You'll see that they are expecting a dip in revenue. They saw a dip in revenue quarter over quarter here. But besides that, look at this consistent revenue growth. 40 million, 33 million, 30 million, 25 million. These guys have grown a lot from the days of being a SPAC. Indie has also made very, very many wise acquisitions. Their revenue has ramped up dramatically. I do think this is a fluke. What's happening recently? This is due to high interest rates. This is due to, lower auto sales. And in my opinion, give Indie about a 6-month period and it will be right back on track. And giving it a roughly 6-month period would put it right at the end of this pattern, right around January of 2025. I do think we still have some time to load up on Indie, but it could potentially break out any time, break out of this long downtrend it's been in. I really like Indie Semiconductor for the long term as a company, but one thing you could do is watch for a break of this pattern. I do think there will be a big reaction on a break of this long-term pattern. Indie has been stuck in this pattern for years now, and I do think the market will react massively to a breakout of this downtrend. Let me know how you guys are feeling about the miners. Are you getting out of some of your high conviction plays and getting into something like Iren? Are you chasing? If you are, you definitely want to be careful. In the end, it's up to you. You got to decide what you want to do. How are you feeling about Bitcoin being well under 10% away from all-time highs? To me, it just seems so far away, but we're right there. We don't need a big move to be at new all-time highs for Bitcoin. It is right around the corner, in my opinion. And how are you feeling on some of these other Bitcoin miners lately that haven't been performing as good? Are you loading up on them? Are you giving up? Are you dropping them for other stocks like Iren? Are you getting out of the Bitcoin mining space completely? Always love hearing your thoughts and opinions. Thanks as always for watching, guys, and I'll see you on the next one.